Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's yours truly, and it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. I'll be talking about all the usual fun, probably moaning about something, I'm sure. So yeah, it's another of the Darkest Timeline. No guests, just me, and me talking about me stuff. So here we go. This is the Cookiecast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Oh, all right. There we go. Oh, podcast. Cool. Let's do this. Oh, maybe move the microphone a bit closer. Well, that sounded amazing on the audio there. Hello, it's me again. That door seems to be rattling. I shut the window, so there was a bit of a breeze. Yeah, hopefully that's not going to be annoying. Our bird friend was not able to join us this evening. Although having said that, I'm sure that will now change. So hello, welcome, another episode of the Darkest Timeline podcast. I'm your host and only person here, Cookie. Hello. Right, let's jump to the list. Right, something I want to cover straight off the bat, because this week's going to be a little bit up and down, a little bit ranty, a couple of things to talk about. But, you know, at this point in time, what do you expect? Something I want to talk about straight away, and it's something that, at the moment, it's driving me up the wall. Do you ever have those times when you just feel like you've got nothing but bad luck? It seems to be, I have this thing that it's like, oh, why does everything in my life have to live on the floor? Maybe it's because I'm clumsy, but I feel like it's just every single thing I ever do, mostly in the kitchen. It just has to go on the floor. And I tried to put a lid on a pot of hummus a couple of weeks ago, and the lid, rather than going on the pot, pinged off, hit the floor on its end, rolled, and managed to roll between the washing machine and a cupboard all the way to the back, so couldn't get that back. And a lot of the time it's like, yep, that's just how my luck is. It's probably karma, I imagine. But yeah, my luck has been that bad recently that I had to make a note of it to talk about those times of the weekend just gone. The weekend was like a really nice weekend and a really nice time. And then I was saying to people, I was like, I feel now that I'm just waiting for the bad. Like, the weekend was really nice, so presumably there's going to be plenty of bad to go with it. And then since then it's just been one thing after another after another. So it's a bit like, and there's that old sort of thing of, oh, you know, everything comes in threes, so if you have 3 lots of bad luck, then you're going to get 3 lots of good luck. I never really seem to get that. It's just lots of bad luck, and then, something didn't go bad. Cool. So yeah, I just wanted to cover that. Something I saw, now the reason this is like up there at the top of the list is I saw it like pretty much a week ago. So if I'd have seen it like a little bit earlier, it'd have been on last week's podcast. Or last time's podcast, because I can't imagine these are weekly. But I've got a note here that says Men's Health magazine article about suicide. So, go to the internet, so I randomly saw this Men's Health magazine article. I'm not going to read it all, because if you want to find it, I imagine Google. Well, the website is menshealth.com. So go there, read this article if you want. I don't know if that's easy to find or not, but anyway, there's some statistics in here that it's like, wow. The title of the article, not talking about mental health is literally killing men. Our editor explains why we have to fix this silent crisis. I'm going to read the bit at the beginning, then I'll jump to the statistics. Our mission at mentalhealth.com has always been to help men build themselves into better men, stronger men, healthier men. Rooted in science and expert opinion, our content translates dense topics into easily digestible, actionable health advice. Piecemeal. The concepts are sound and effective, but overall health must be viewed holistically. Then there's like in big bold, one of the most integral components is your mind. Your mental health is not inseparable from your physical health. And then it goes on to say that May, which at this point in time was last month, Mental Health Awareness Month is May. Mental health, we're going to do articles to help men with mental health. It says, men who are vocal about any kind of mental issue can be dismissed as weak and inferior. Which is interesting because I went to something at work, a mental health thing. My work's quite good for stuff like that. Seems like it's not been as good recently. There was a time when it was really good, like well-being and mental health and physical health and stuff like that. They used to really push it. There was like a 6-month period when they were really pushing that sort of stuff, and it really has just gone quiet. I think they've done it's there if you need it, but we're not going to tell you about it all the time, so that means nobody knows about it, sort of thing. So I went to a mental health thing at work and got into a conversation that was very much about that it feels like, men especially can't talk about mental health. You can't say, I'm not doing well, because, suck it up is a sort of man thing. And you don't want to come across as weak, as a man, I suppose. So, further down this article, it says, what's real is the fact that 9% of men experience depression on a daily basis. That's more than 6 million men. Now, what I will say is, from reading this article, it does appear to be an American publication. So I imagine those are American numbers. Even if we understand what depression feels like, we rarely admit that it's the culprit. We lie and say we're tired, just cranky. More than 3 million men struggle with anxiety daily. Of the 3.5 million people diagnosed as schizophrenic by the age of 30, more than 90% are men. Now that to me was like, whoa, that's like a crazy number. Like, schizophrenia is like quite, it's intense, and those sort of numbers are scary. It's estimated 10 million men in the US will suffer from an eating disorder in their lifetime. Obviously something that I can relate to. We retreat from friends and instead drown sorrows in numbing substances. 1 out of every 5 men will develop an alcohol dependency during his life. Goes on to say, and then again, I'm trying not to read the whole article because I don't know if that's a thing that I can do anyway. Male suicide is rising at such an alarming rate that it's been classified as a silent epidemic. Now that there's scary enough. It's the 7th leading cause of death for males. That's a staggering statistic. Drill down into the numbers, and suicide is the 2nd most common cause of death for every age group for men 10 through 39. That is terrifying. It says our mental problems are literally killing us, and that has to stop. I've seen a lot of adverts recently, and like I say, I saw this article. Those statistics are terrifying. There are these adverts. I saw one where there's a squirrel talking about stuff, and there was a guy who had a snake around him who just kept saying he was alright. Stuff like this, like the reason that the article stood out to me is stuff like this is it's a subject very dear to me. And it, you can't get away from the fact that not enough's being done about this subject. obviously there is this sort of these numbers coming out now, and there are these things that are being done, but something, and again, I'm gonna try not to spoil anything, although I think at this point spoilers are allowed. I saw something on a YouTube video the other day that seemed to say that you're allowed to spoil Endgame now. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to talk about a little bit of it. Thor gets a bit depressed, and that's a visual thing in Endgame. Again, try not to spoil anything. And I'm sure anybody who's seen Infinity War could understand that Thor would be depressed. Something that I thought was interesting in that film is that, like, his friends, the members of the Avengers, sort of rally around him and talk to him and sort of say, you're not alone, we can understand, we're here to help, you've helped us, you did this, the Hulk being sort of the main one. And I thought that was really interesting to see. Sort of sends a good message, and just it's good to see that message is getting through out there. I've listened to podcasts before that have talked about, like, it is an epidemic, this epidemic of people struggling through mental health issues, depression, eating disorders, whatever it is, and getting to a point where they think that there is literally no way out. I always sort of salute Hollywood Babylon for being one of the podcasts that's right up there that are saying, if you need to talk to someone, this, that, and the other. I know there are services out there that you can, like, if you're feeling down, you can text something. I'm not sure if it's the Samaritans or something. So there are a lot of things out there, and there are a lot of services out there, and it is becoming more of a sort of widely known issue. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are being more touched by this subject for one reason or another. But is it enough? And I think one of the biggest things is addressing it's great, but are we looking at the reasons why all these men are dying left, right and centre because of not feeling like they can talk, or not feeling like they've got anywhere to turn, or that sort of stuff. So there you go. Nice, juicy downer to start the podcast on. Like I say, subject dear to my heart, and something that I'd seen like a week ago that I made a note of and still felt like I wanted to talk about it. Men who are listening out there, ask your friends if they're okay, and ask them again, and just sort of, it takes 2 minutes to say that you're there for someone, and it takes, 2 more minutes to actually be there for them. So, yeah, do that. Right, let's have a look at the list. Oh, it's everyone's favourite segment of the podcast. Me ranting about bad drivers. So, let's talk Turkey, people. The way I drive to work, I can go sort of a few different ways. As time's gone on, I've narrowed that down, and I basically go the same way. Parking's a major issue where I'm working. We used to have like a huge car park, so you park wherever you want. And now we don't. We have like a third of a big car park and no spaces. I think there's like 8 or 10 spaces or something between 60 people. So that's awesome. So parking is always an issue. You're supposed to use if you haven't got a parking space there, you're supposed to use Park and Ride. That in itself is an absolute ball ache. Incidentally, Park and Ride, just the bus service in general. There are a few paid services out there that are worse than the buses. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm talking about York buses. I'm sure by now you've worked out that, I live in York. I'm pretty sure by now, if you listen to enough podcasts, you'll probably be able to knock on my front door. Probably not great, but hey. Yeah, buses in York are fucking atrocious. Oh yeah, that's something. Luke told me the other day that I need to put a swearing disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast. I'm like, it says it's explicit. Anyway, I swear in my podcast, although that might be the first time I've sworn today. Not today, obviously, in today's podcast. The buses in York are fucking atrocious. Last time I tried to get a bus into town, I'm pretty sure they wanted nearly £5 for a return ticket. That is astronomical. It's a 40-minute walk. So yeah, I know what you're going to say. Why don't you just walk it? And it's just awful. We have to use the park and ride up at Monk's Cross, which just the worst bus service. What makes it worse is it's free for us to use it. Pretty much free. We can use our passes and we get like cards that we can use to get on the bus. If you had to pay for that service, I mean, to say that you wouldn't use it is the least of the problems. And it's all this whole, it's endorsed by York City Council, so and it shows because they can literally do whatever the fuck they want. The drivers are rude, the buses never turn up when they're supposed to. When they do, they sit for 20 minutes at the park and ride when they're supposed to be going into town. Because that's what you want at the end of your day. I should have got Sam on. He loves a good talk about the buses. They're his favourite thing in the world. The bus situation in York is fucking awful. It's massively overpriced. It's a terrible service. If they told me tomorrow that all the buses were going to stop running, I'd be happy, because it means that, you know, the regime, shall we say, no longer has a stronghold over the people. So I drive. Excuse me. I drive and park, and that's that. So I drive the same way to work. I had an incident the other day which made me reconsider my route to work. So let me explain. There's like these roundabout systems out towards where I work. There's like this massive roundabout, and then there's is it even a roundabout? It's like, yeah, let's call it a roundabout. So there's like a massive roundabout, and if you go off the left of that turns into another roundabout. It splits into 3 lanes. So the left lane is if you want to go off the first exit of the roundabout. The right lane is supposed to be if you want to go right round the roundabout. Now I noticed the other day that there's actually an arrow on that lane saying right. Middle lane is if you want to go second exit, what would essentially be straight over. So what generally happens is I sit in the middle lane, pull up to the lights. The right lane, or as I like to call it, the prick lane, then gets filled with Audi drivers, BMWs and Mercedes. Apparently, all of those cars are going right. That is until the lights change. Everybody sets off. And so you set off, and the left lane goes left, and the middle lane goes second exit, and all the people in the right lane go right. Oh, no, that's right, because there's a filter lane. If you're on the second exit, there's a filter lane, which every Audi driver, Mercedes driver, BMW driver knows. So, if you're quick enough, see where this one's going, you can go balls to the wall fast round that, and then use the filter lane to cut off everybody who was in the left lane. Can you see why I like to call it the prick lane? So one morning, driving to work, I'm in the left lane, pulling up to the lights. Something catches my eye, and I look in the rear view mirror, and there is a Now then, 11-year-old Ford Mondeo estate just carving its way between all the lanes, further back, just basically overtaking everybody. Overtake this car, pull back in, pull out into another lane, pull back in to overtake another car. Just overtaking cars left, right and centre. So I'm sat in the middle lane, like, yeah, whatever. So this old piece of shit Mondeo, no surprises, straight into the prick lane. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So we all set off. And we all go around, go off to go down the second exit. And what a surprise, the Ford Mondeo that's been cutting through all the lanes previously sets off into the prick lane, gets in the filter lane, and literally carves across the front of me, nearly taking the front end of the car out. Any guesses whether he was indicating? Ah, that's right. No indication whatsoever, just cut straight through. Me, being the calm, centred, well-adjusted driver that I am, was like, you go, buddy, you do what you need to do. I mean, obviously, I put my hand on the horn and left it there for a while. So, Mr. I'm a complete fucking cunt, who drives a 11-year-old Ford Mondeo, this is important by the way, decides it's not enough to shaft you on the roundabout and cut you up and nearly take the front of your car out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start accelerating, wait for you to accelerate, and then slam the brakes on. Now, I know from watching YouTube videos of bad drivers, which is probably something I should really give up doing, and I actually have, this is called brake checking. I mean, I know if you're going down a really steep hill, you're supposed to check your brakes as you go, and you're supposed to keep pressing the brakes at various points. I don't know whether that's part common sense, part so your brakes don't fail and you don't die. But every time this guy speeds up, I speed up, he slams the brakes on, and I nearly go into the back. And this must have happened a minimum of 10 times. And as you can imagine, at this point, I've got a big beaming smile, I'm super happy, really jolly, can't wait to get to work. No, that was it, wasn't it? If I'd have got hold of him, I'd have probably torn his face off at that point in time. What an awful human being. Yeah, that's right. Because that's how this person has decided to spend his time. He's decided that he's going to go out there and just fuck everybody off. And then I realised, oh, you're driving an 11-year-old car, are you? So let's work this one out. If I drive into the back of you, which would cause a crash, which on an 11-year-old car is almost definitely a write-off, what would the police view it as? Oh, that's right. It'd be my fault. So you would claim on my insurance and, oh, of course, get a new car out of it. So this well-adjusted human being has decided to go out there and just fuck everybody off. You know, I'm not the first person who pissed off that morning by carving through everybody just to get to the front, but then decides, oh, if I can get a new car out of the situation, even better. So by this point in time, I was like, right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop right back. I'm going to give you a wide berth and you can just piss off to wherever the fuck you're going. Which was a mystery because when we got to the next roundabout, which is 2 lanes, this piece of work decided, yeah, I'm not going to tell you which way I'm going. I'm going to sit in the middle of the 2 lanes and decide when I get out into the roundabout. What a well-adjusted human being you are, sir. Well done to you. I salute you. And here's the issue. Here's the problem. The problem is that people like that cause accidents. And those accidents are usually with family cars. And that family car is full of, surprise, surprise, a family. Mum, dad, kids, dog, whatever. And in those situations, the family car ends up upside down, completely totaled, and everyone dies. And that guy ends up with a little bit of a bump on his car, and he walks away. But it's okay because it wasn't his fault. It was clearly the other person's fault. Because, not indicating, driving like a lunatic, speeding, brake checking, cutting people up left, right and centre. None of that's his fault. And if there's an accident, he's going to claim on the other person's insurance. Because it'll be their fault. So at the start of this, when you're listening and you're thinking, fucking hell, Jesus Christ, this guy just goes on about these bad drives and all this, that and the other. Just bear in mind, every time I talk about this, that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that end up dying in car crashes because you can't take 2 seconds out of your day to flick your indicator on. Because you think speeding's the best way to get home quicker. Because you think you have a right to cut someone up because you should be at the front. That's what I mean when I'm talking about these subjects. Because the indicating thing is off the charts now. Nobody indicates anymore. I might start not indicating. And that's the problem there. Because the more people do these things, the more other people do these things. And before long, nobody's indicating. And before long, road traffic accidents are through the roof and nobody can understand why. They're death machines, people. They kill people all day, every day. We're supposed to respect them. And if we can't respect them, we shouldn't be driving them. Simple. So there's the bad driving segment. So, this is something that I've seen for years and years and years. It gets worse and worse and worse. From where I live, if you look out the window at the front of the house, you can actually see the park. There's literally, my street has a cut through at the bottom of the street that cuts into the bottom of the park. So you can see the park from my house. I drive past all the time. I drive past the park every day to go work or whatever. Something that I've seen for years, which is just, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And I saw this on Sunday. Parents take their children to the park. Cool, good start, good parenting. They release their children into the park and then spend the entire time that they're in the park with their children on their phones. Sunday, it was just insane. The parent that decided to release their children into the park and then go and sit on a bench 30 feet away and literally spent the entire time on their phone, just glued to the phone. And it's like, but what is it that's that important? These kids weren't, they weren't. One of them was quite young, one of them was a bit older, so they're probably, capable to be in the park, capable to swing on the swings and things like that. But you're telling me that you couldn't take 20 minutes out of your day, 20 minutes away from your phone to go and push your child on the swing or run around the park or take an interest in what that child's doing. It seems just... It's really baffling to me. And I'll drive over home on an evening and I'll drive past and you see the parent that's pushing the swing with one hand, looking at their phone with the other hand. You see the parents, like I say, the ones that are just sitting off to the side, nowhere near. What if that child had fallen over and broken their arm? You know, I'm not saying that you can prevent that. It's a park. Things happen, accidents happen. But why would you take your children to the park and then, oh, what did you do today? Went to the park. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. What did they go on in the park? Oh, I have no idea. Why not? Oh, I was looking at, I imagine, let's go out on a limb. I was looking at Facebook. All right, okay. Anything good on Facebook today? I don't know, I can't remember. Saw a cat video. That was entertaining. All right, okay. Sounds great. The other thing being is, what is that child going to remember of that experience? Is the child going to remember calling over to their dad? Look at this, look at this, look at this. And that dad not reacting because he was glued to his phone. It's sad. It's just really sad. And you see it more and more and more. And you see, there's a long road along where I live. And you see, parents walking down the road hand in hand with the child or children or whatever on their phones. It's what are our children's impressions of us as they grow up and when they grow up going to be? Oh, Daddy really interacted with me, between Facebook updates. Oh, he was mad into Twitter, loved the Twitter, just sending out tweets left, right and centre. Came to watch me at football. I mean, he didn't watch the football game because, he was on Twitter. Well, he posted a picture on Instagram though, so that counts. I've heard podcasts and stuff where people say, when they spend time with their children, they turn their phones off. And I think it's great. I'm a bit double-edged sword with my phone. I understand we need them. We can't survive without them and all that. And I'm terrible for Facebook, Instagram, not so much Twitter. I've never really got Twitter. Playing mobile games, I got out of it, and I've sort of been playing a few recently. I'm totally into Lemmings, man. If you haven't got Lemmings, I don't know if it comes on anything. Android, is it? I've got an iPhone, so I only really know iPhone. But I've got Lemmings, as I mentioned previously, and I love it. It's great. Good for a little go here and there. So in that sense, I'm terrible, and I know I am. I put time limits on Instagram. I put time limits on Facebook. I started downloading books for the Kindle app so I could read more than using these things. And at one point I got a lot better, and then more recently I've not been as good. And again, I'm trying to get back to being a bit better. But yeah, turning your phone off when you're spending time with your children is the least. I'd seen this thing. It was an advert at some point about stopping people texting while driving, and it showed the messages that people received at the moment that they had a car crash. And I think they say a certain percentage of text messages that people receive at really bad times, like driving or when something really bad's happened, a certain percentage of those text messages are the words okay or the word okay. There was a time when texting and mobile phones was it was cool because you could meet your friends at a time. I remember a mate of mine used to say, I'll meet you in town on Saturday morning. I'd be like, cool. I'll meet you at 10. All right then. So 10 o'clock would come round, I would still be lying in bed. He'd be ringing my house. All right, yeah, I'll be there in an hour. And then I'd go back to bed. And then he'd ring again an hour later. Yeah, I'm on my way. Just about to set off. I'll meet you at 12. So stuff like that, it's good because you can be like, oh, I'm running 5 minutes late. I'm going to be 10 minutes late. That sort of stuff. Fine. Great. Wonderful. Sometimes it's good to be able to get your emails when you're out and about. I get that we need them, but I get when I see somebody using their phone at a time, I think, when you're spending time with your kids. Sorry, guy, I went to the cinema last night, which I'm going to cover in a bit. I went to the cinema last night and I saw a guy who weirdly enough had children with him, and he was just glued to his phone, and I could see his phone screen from where I was. And these are the things that he looked at. He's got 2 kids sat with him. He's got a partner, wife, whatever. These are the things that he looked at. And take from this what you will. The screen was massive. The room was dark. The film hadn't started, but, it's what it's like in cinema. It's still a bit dark. And he was 2 rows in front of me. I could see what was on the screen. He kept looking at this thing that was like... The only thing I could think was it was like some kind of stocks thing. It showed like the wiggly lines where stocks and shares go up and down. He seemed to be quite into that. Lots of Facebook. Which there was a part he was looking at something on Facebook and very quickly scrolled past when the young lady he was with looked across, because it was a picture of a half-naked woman that seemed to be on his feed, which he sort of very quickly skirted over. My favourite has to be when he was looking at the picture that his lady friend had just taken of the ice cream she was eating, but he was looking at it on his phone and commenting to her that he was looking at the picture of the ice cream that she'd just taken 13 seconds before. And I'm like, this is where we're at? Is it? Really? And it's like, you've got 2 kids sitting there. They're probably excited for the movie, Put the phone in your pocket and talk to them, or talk to your missus, or whatever. And yet, like I say, I'm as bad as anybody at certain times. Social media is great for like podcast stuff. And I'm not going to tell you that I never use my phone, but I think, the phone addiction is a real thing. And I think. I think in years to come, there'll be like Alcoholics Anonymous and like drug addiction helplines and there'll be phone addiction. Because I'm pretty sure I've seen in the last week that gaming addiction is now a recognised disorder. And I was like, really? Here's an idea. Why don't you just turn it off? Again, I play a lot of games. But yeah, gaming addiction, recognised addiction. So yeah, drink break, 2 seconds. Oh, yeah. I've said it 1,000 times before, and I'll say it again. Hardest thing to do when you're doing a podcast on your own. So yeah, if anything, turn your phones off, people, especially when you're spending time with your children. Right, let's talk games. I do think it's a bit of a weird podcast. It's like me ranting for 40 minutes about how I hate everything. And then we talk about games and movies at the end. But it's the format I've chosen, so hey. Right, let's talk Division 2. I realised that as far as teasing a review, I'm at that point now, it's like nobody cares about my review of the Division 2. It's been out like months and months and months. I still haven't finished it, but I nearly have. I think I've got one sort of mission to do. I've got one stronghold to do. I did the other one the other night. That was lots of fun. Killed some big bad guys. So yeah, let's talk Division 2. Pro, it's better than the first one. And when I say that, I say it's better than what the first one turned into. First one was a great game that I really enjoyed. But I've said this before, they updated it so far in and made it harder, which I'm sure was just a way to make money. And I couldn't play it anymore because it was too hard and it made me really angry. So far, touch wood, the Division 2 hasn't done that to me, which I'm amazed at. At this point in time, I can probably say, yeah, there's been some tough bits. Yeah, there's been some rage quits a couple of times. But at this point in time, it hasn't been quote unquote too difficult. And again, I presume at this point in time, if I put it on later, it's going to be too hard. So that's a pro. I like the gadgets. I went with the drone and the auto turret thing. They're cool, really useful gadgets. The guns are nice. I've got a super powerful. It's like a Western rifle. If you use that right, you can kill people in one shot. That's nice. I think I've got a double-barreled shotgun as a sidearm, and I've got a super powerful shotgun. Customization's cool. You know, you put additional clips on it and sights and things like that. Pimp it out, sort of thing. That's cool. And yeah, it's when it's good, it's good. The cons are many, unfortunately. The graphics are truly awful. I did start to wonder if this was a thing where it's like, oh, maybe if I had a PlayStation 4 Pro, it would be better. But that just reeks of spending money that I don't need to. The graphics are shockingly bad. Like, awful. Now, what I mean by this is, when you're playing the game, generally it's fine. But texturing and popping is awful. I was running past a truck the other night, and as I was getting to it, the wheels were hexagonal, not round, see-through, and the tyre part of the wheel was grey blur. And then as I ran past, so I basically wasn't going to see it anymore, all the popping and the texturing happened. So when you look at it and when you're playing it, it's great, but texturing, popping, all of that, awful. Awful, awful, awful. Some of the worst I have seen in a game in many, many years. Other cons, glitchy as hell. Really laggy in places. The pop-in makes it so that you're trying to run and you're like, why can't I run? Oh, because there's a wall there that wasn't there 2 seconds ago. Some enemies early on were super annoying. There's these guys that run at you with batons and just hit you, but the game would like send 3 or 4 of them at once and they'd just kill you. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. You'd reload, you'd do it again, and that didn't happen. So glitchy as hell. Very much a game that when you see that there's an update, it's like, oh, is this going to make the game better or worse? And it is literally 50-50. I've experienced this before with other games where it's like, oh, we've updated the game. All right, because you've broken everything. Oh, we've updated it now. Okay, cool. You fixed all the stuff you broke. What else is there? Nothing. Great. So, as a game, long list of downsides. Like I say, at this point in time, I can't imagine anybody actually cares about my Division 2 review, but I am pretty much finished with it, and I didn't want to review it until I was. Score-wise, just for Sam, I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10. There was a point in time where it might have got an 8, and there was a point in time where it might have got a 6. Like I say, there was points. Another con was there were points where the game was basically unplayable. There's major sound issues. So if you're using your rifle and you're like shooting, you switch to your shotgun. Shotgun's got no sound. Glitchy and buggy as hell. But when it's good and when it works, it's quite enjoyable. It's quite fun. 7.5 out of 10. The amount of money to pay for it, it's a good solid 30 quid game. If you can get it for cheaper, jump all over it. 35 sort of maximum I would pay for that game. Longevity, I mean, I've been playing it for ages, so longevity's there. But yeah, for your money, you can get more polished games. Ironically, Anthem, hell of a lot more polished than the Division 2. So, take from that what you will. I will be moving back to playing World War Z. Give that a run through. And Surviving Mars. Give that another play. I saw a video today for the Spider-Man game. Kind of made me want to play that again. So I might play that. We'll see. So that's the Division 2. There's a couple of other games. Me and a couple of lads from work have been playing Wildlands, no surprises. Tim Lacey didn't own Wildlands. That's just, has never played it. It's like, wow, call yourself a gaming fan. That's insane. So, yep, it was that time again. Got old Wildlands out, got it all updated and installed and stuff. In the process, bought Xbox Live for someone else. But Microsoft was super cool and they refunded the money, and I just bought it again for my Microsoft account. That was a bit panicky at the time. Yeah, we've been playing Wildlands. Still can't kill the Predator. I've got to the point now where I'm pretty sure that mission is it's just, you can't do it. You can't. I know people have done it, but I don't think it's possible. I've tried everything I can think of, and I just don't think it's possible. What I will say is that the fact that still playing that game now, years after it came out, years after, I own it on the PlayStation, I own it on the Xbox, I play it on both. I've got the DLC, which says a lot. Such a great game. Obviously, any fan of the podcast knows that Ghost Recon Wildlands is probably the podcast's number one game across the board. But that brings me to something else. There's been the alpha, which I didn't manage to get, but there's been the alpha for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which comes out in October, or at least it does at the moment. Whether that changes, we'll see. So, a couple of people I know have been playing Breakpoint, and by the sounds of it, well, the note I've written down here is Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the game no one wants. Obviously, as I keep saying, we here at the podcast love Ghost Recon Wildlands. By the sounds of it, Breakpoint is very much okay, how do we make money out of this? It's got everything. There was mention of raids, there's a class system, there's crafting that nobody wants. It is just, apparently all of the forums were just full of, we don't want this, we don't want that, we don't want the other. Basically all the stuff that they've created for this game. People don't want it. You don't want a class system. You don't want to be a heavy when you need to be stealth. You don't want to be shooting somebody but need a sniper rifle if you're not a sniper. Nobody wants that for this game. Put it into other games. Just leave this franchise alone. I watched like an announcement thing for it, and it was saying like when Wildlands was created, it was a team of 30 people, and I was like, yeah, you can tell that game was made with love. Now there is a development team of 1,000 people, and you know all I heard? Now there's a team of 1,000 people, all who want to get paid. And the moment that happens is the moment that the gaming world shits the bed and just throws all the monetization it can at a game. And that's basically what they've done. That's exactly what they've done to this game. They've done it always needs to be online. Yeah, nobody wants that. Oh, you have to pick a class. Why? You didn't have to in Wildlands. Why do you have to in this? Oh, you're always being hunted. You've got to bandage yourself up. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. It's like, no, I don't want any of that. So I was talking to JK, and I was saying, as it stands at the moment, from the game that you've told me it is, from everything I've seen, I will not be buying that game. And I've owned every single Ghost Recon game, from the first one to Wildlands. So for me to say I will not be buying the next game is probably a sign that they've done it wrong. But there'll be a beta, which I'm hoping to get in on, and then we'll see if they put the release back. It would be the smartest thing they could do at this point in time. I honestly don't think they've got enough time between now and October to change what apparently needs changing in that game. But we'll see, and if I hear anything, I'll keep you posted. So, a couple of things left to cover. Went to cinema last night. Went to see Godzilla, King of Monsters. Yeah. So, Godzilla, King of Monsters. What can I tell you about that? Nothing really, because I went to see it with Sam. Me and Sam sort of threatened to do a podcast about it, and I don't want to now sit here and do a podcast to then, tomorrow or the next day do a podcast about it. Sam had a lot to say, so it'd be worth trying to get a podcast done. So rather than talking about Godzilla, King of Monsters, I was sat in the cinema, like I say, observing the people. And I've been to the cinema quite a few times recently, which previously was a thing where I had this whole, I don't go to the cinema. And then years and years and years ago, I used to go to the cinema a lot. Helped when Luke worked at the cinema, I used to get him for free. And then that time passed. But when I started going to the cinema, it was like, I don't know, like £1.50 or something, £1.75 for a ticket. And then when I had to start paying again, it was like £3.50, and I was like, what? Now it's like a £5 or something, because you can. It's like a viewer doing a. Anyway, that's the price of a ticket. The reason I stopped going to the cinema is sort of coming back to me the more I go now. And I think, if I'm honest, excuse me, I might go back to trying to avoid the cinema. Short version is, the Marvel phase thing is coming to an end with Spider-Man. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to go and see Spider-Man at the cinema. And if that's the case, then I'd probably say I'm done with the cinema. Multitude of reasons. None of them great, but it is what it is. This isn't bragging, this is just sort of letting you know the situation. I bought a big TV, and I bought a decent surround sound system. Reason being, I wanted to try and recreate the cinema experience at home, because that's where I prefer to watch films. Things I like about going to the cinema: big screen, great sound. Well, like I say, I've tried to recreate that at home. You can get like the comfy chairs now, which I generally tend to do when I go. But last night I realised that the screen we were in, I don't know if it was a smaller screen or something, but there wasn't as much leg room as there is in some of the other screens, which I felt I'd kind of paid for more leg room. I am a fairly tall man. I need my leg room. I'm also a fairly large man. I need my space. So I was a bit like, I feel like I'm not getting my money's worth here. For want of a better way of putting it's the people. It's not just the people. Let's get popcorn and a drink. One of the times that we'd been to the cinema, Sam got popcorn and a drink, and it cost him £9. £9. Tub of popcorn. I think the drink was a coffee. Coffee costs like 5p to make, and popcorn is popcorn. So why they charged him £9 for those two things is beyond me. Sometimes I just want like a tub of popcorn and a drink, but I'm not giving you £9 for it. When I watch films at home, I can watch them at home on my own, or at the most with Leanne. We haven't watched a lot of films recently because with having a baby and stuff. I watched a lot of films when the baby was first born, because it's something that I could do, sit with her and she'd sit and we'd watch movies. Oh Jesus, excuse me. But yeah, I'm I'm trying to find a better way of saying it rather than sounding awful, but I don't want to be there with the other people. One of the reasons I used to I'd stopped going was the whole people kicking the back of your seat thing. It used to drive me up the wall. And again, that's one of those things. I nearly got into fights over that, which isn't good for anybody. And again, in a situation like that, I'd probably rather remove myself from it than have to deal with it. But yeah, there was the row behind us that somebody had shipped in all the tism, as Sam would say. The Spectrum Club, Full Spectrum Warriors turned up, which during the film nobody really talks. Nobody really makes all that much noise. But there was a little bit of noise. I'm not going to say there was no noise from the row behind. You've got the couple sat across the way, like over the other side of the aisle. How do I put this? Heavy breathing. Yep, I'm complaining about heavy breathing. But what I mean is, like, if I'm trying to watch the film or listen to the film and all I can hear is you breathing, it's like, well, it's not quiet in here, mate. So there's that. It's just there's the guy with the phone. The kids were probably a little bit young for the film. There was a couple of points I was like, I'm not sure. Children should be watching this, like children, little kids, and you could tell, like, towards the back end they were bored. And that sort of stands out. And it's just that thing that I don't want to have to deal with it all. And that, I know that's bad, and I know it sounds awful and whatever, but to me there's two types of films. There's the film that you watch where you want to hear all the words and hear all the sound and do all that and take it all in. And then there's the film where you sit with your mates and take the piss out of it or whatever. One involves silence and concentration, the other involves having a laugh and a joke. And unfortunately for me, going to the cinema sort of bridges that gap no matter what the film. There's always something going on, and it's not a great experience. And then, there's the money side of it. They always want money. Everybody wants money. So, short version is, I think going forward I might retreat back into my no cinema hovel, and just watch more stuff at home. I think that's maybe the plan for the future. Right, okay, so last on my list is something that happened. We actually started at the cinema last night and went all the way through to this afternoon. I went to the cinema, and being the cheapskate that I am, I went to a supermarket before I go to the cinema, and I bought a bag of popcorn and a drink. Went into the cinema, sat, ate my popcorn. A little while ago, it's been mentioned on a podcast previously, I had toothache. It was really bad. I had to have an emergency dentist appointment. Went to the dentist. They took some x-rays. They were like, yep, tooth's got to come out. Wisdom tooth. I was like, great. I had a conversation where I was basically like, if I'm honest, I think my dentist has caused this problem. So way back, I had like a tooth repaired, and while they were there, they were like, oh, you need a filling at the back. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, I'll just do it now. I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't really get a choice in the matter. Next thing I've got is filling in the back, where I'm like, I know nothing about the need for a filling. Now my point is, your mouth is your mouth. I know I've got a hole in a tooth that's broken and all of that sort of stuff. And I know where there's like little nicks and bumps and stuff. No point in time am I like, oh, I think I might need a filling at the back there. My wisdom tooth have been coming through since I was a teenager, and they're still coming through now. And here's where I think the problem started. In the last 2 or 3 months, my wisdom teeth have gone through a shift. So, I'm rooting around in my mouth now, trying to work out which ones it is. 1, So one of my wisdom teeth all the way through. One of my other ones has had a shift and has come through like a lot more in this latest shift. And then I've got another wisdom tooth that's still just like, yeah, I'll get there one day. But then, so that's three of the four. The fourth one is where they put the filling in. Now, if you think about it, 3 of my 4 wisdom teeth have gone through a shift. Do we suppose the 4th one would also go through this shift? I do. So, wisdom tooth start shifting, but there's a filling. And I think that the filling has stopped the 4th wisdom tooth from being able to move when it's needed to. And I think this has caused a bit of aggravation. Eventually it's got to the point where I'm in a lot of pain. Ow, ow, ow. Emergency dentist appointment, up all night. I went, they did an x-ray. Oh, yep, tooth needs to come out. It's knackered. It's going to have to come out. Come back in a month. Here, take some antibiotics for the issue that you've got, like the pain and stuff. Luckily for me, the antibiotics worked. And as it was, the next dentist appointment I had to have the tooth taken out, I was unable to go to the appointment. And that's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, in the sense that I wasn't able to go. I couldn't really afford to go and like have a load of dental work done. And the other reason was I was scared of having my wisdom tooth taken out. Take from that what you will, but it was what it was. I didn't want to have my wisdom tooth taken out. And even though they said to me, the pain will go, but don't let that fool you, you need it taken out. The pain had gone, so I was like, whatever. Last night, popcorn. Bit of a twinge in the old tooth there. Whatever. Popcorn. Ow. Popcorn. Oh no. So the pain started in the wisdom tooth. I'm like, oh man, really? Why? I'm like, well, I rebooked the appointment that I cancelled. I'm sure I had a message the other day about that appointment. I'll double check. Checked, and it just so happened that my next dentist appointment was today. I was like, fine, this is a sign. The tooth hurts, let's go to the dentist. So, again, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I had to psych myself up to go to the dentist. Whichever way you want to look at it, my teeth are very precious to me. I look after them as best I can, although the dentist tells me I don't. And have done for years. And when people when the dentist's like, I'm going to take one of them away, it's like, but that's my tooth. I grew it all by myself. Yeah, it's just a thing. So I went to the dentist. They were like, oh, we're updating our records, we need to fill in a new form. So I'm filling in this form, and all I can hear is Bill Burr's words, because, like, I tell you, the profiling that they're doing at the dentist now, like, all I could think was, why do you need this information? You're the dentist. Surely the information you need from me is my name, my address, my date of birth, a contact number, and am I allergic to anything? Surely that's all you need to know. Tell you something, the profiling that's going on there, I'd hate to think where that data was going. The amount of questions, the amount of information they wanted, I just started leaving stuff blank. I was like, I don't think you need that information, and until you tell me that you definitely need it and the reason why, I ain't giving you it. So yeah, watch out for the profiling at the dentist. So I went and filled the form in, and then half an hour later, me being me, turned up nice and early. Half an hour later, still sat there waiting. And the waiting room was full of people. 10 minutes later, still sat waiting. Waiting room's empty at this point. I'm like, what's going on? You know, that sort of time where you're a bit like, I'm supposed to be at work right now. I've come away from work. I'm losing time on my day. Has something happened to the dentist? So, I think I was waiting 50 minutes, which, is cool. And I went in. They were like, "Oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, yeah, good. You? Oh, yeah, it's warm today, isn't it? Yeah, it's warm. Talk about the weather. Right, let's have a look, because you need a tooth taken out and it's a wisdom tooth. Yep, let's look. Oh." I'm like, "Yep, that's the sort of thing you want to hear. Oh, yeah, you've got a problem with this filling." "Really?" "Yeah, this filling. Oh, I could just pop that out right now. Yeah, I could just pop that straight out there. Oh, it's all decayed. Oh, yeah, I could just pop that out. All right, okay. Yeah, there's no sign of infection. Do you feel heat and cold on the tooth?" "Yep." "Right, so that probably means the tooth isn't dead then. Okay, right, well, you've got a lot of food stuck, behind this filling. Do you look after your teeth?" "Yes." "Do you clean your teeth?" "Yes." Yes. Oh, right, because there's a lot of build up here. All right, okay. Try using this toothbrush. All right, I'll do that. Okay, I've got two choices. One, we can try and give you a new filling and save the tooth. Straight away, I'm like, this is an option. Or we can take it out. Okay. Can you try and save the tooth? Oh, yeah, we can try and save it if you like. So when you feel cold, do you feel it on the tooth? Yes. Right, well, that suggests that the tooth isn't dead. Also, it doesn't look dead, and I've just done this. I can probably get that filling to just pop out. Right, lie back. Oh, I've popped your filling out. Cool. I'm going to fill that gap. None of the work can be done today. You have to come back. All right. So basically, what she's told me is that the filling has caused an irritation to the gum. Not enough that I need another round of antibiotics, but enough to cause severe pain. And the tooth probably doesn't need to come out. And they can probably just give it a nice clean and pop a filling back in. So she's put some temporary stuff in it and sent me on my merry way, and I've got to go back next week. It's all right though, because I paid the full amount today for all the work that didn't get done. That was, more than likely their fault for giving me a filling I didn't need. So there you go, NHS dentist, people. You gotta love them. I was saying to somebody the other day, when we were kids, we had private dentist, which now I look back at is just weird. It's a weird concept because we were dirt poor, but we had a private dentist. No idea how that one worked. My mother was quite insistent about clean teeth, though, so, and that sort of come through years later with me. I'm very insistent with clean teeth. But in the entire time I was with a private dentist, I had that thing where as a child you have too many teeth and they just take out the extra ones. I had that. So I had teeth taken out. And then at some point I broke a tooth. And they built me a new tooth. And that was it. And that was years and years and years. Until I'm pretty sure I had that tooth built when I was 23 or something. My mother paid for it as a birthday present. So yeah. So in all of that time, I had 3 teeth taken out and a tooth built, and nothing else. In the time I've been with an NHS dentist, I've had a filling that was done badly that they redid for free. They've put this filling in that's apparently caused all this problem with my wisdom tooth. They wanted to take out my broken tooth and I wouldn't let them, so they did let's do a fix, but it's an NHS dentist, so they just fill the space. No, they don't build you a tooth, they just put a filling in. Did that badly, which caused the tooth to break further down the line, which is now what I'm dealing with because I've got this hole. Just a catalogue of errors. My favourite has to be somebody gave you a fill-in and it's wrong, so we're going to redo it and we're going to do it for free. That one was was a favourite. As far as pain's concerned, very rarely in pain, but this wisdom tooth thing, yeah, super painful. And yeah, it's good to know that was caused by getting a filling I didn't need. So yeah, that was today. That was today's fun. Hey, at least I got to, come back home and get back on with my work. So there we go, people. What felt like a super ranty podcast. I don't know what to tell you. The reason, going back to the first episode, and the reason that this is called the Darkest Timeline podcast is purely because I truly believe this is the darkest timeline. Maybe that's what today was about, covering that off. Hopefully you're still with me, and hopefully you'll come back for another taste of the darkest timeline. Until then, I'm going to say goodbye. I'll see you then. Bye. So there you go. What do you think of that? Another one in the bag. Another week gone. Another week closer to whatever it is you're counting down to that this time in your life. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for keep coming back. It means a lot to me. Anybody that's on the YouTube, make sure you're a subscriber. I know these aren't as interactive as the video ones, but I do add a nice picture here every now and then. So, keep subscribing, keep dropping little comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Everybody jump over to Cookiecast.com, send us some social media love, send us an email, tell us when you're coming on the podcast. That's a serious thing, by the way, especially if you've got a specialist subject that you'd like to talk about. Give me a shout, drop me an email, we'll book you in and get you on the podcast. So yeah, another one done, another week gone. I'll check you guys next week, and until then, I'll say bye.